Welcome back, everybody. Quick run out to the pole barn here. Dad's moving a little bit of snow, the old D15. We got a little bit of snow here the other day. Not nearly as much as they were predicting, but a little shot of the winter wonderland for those of you down south that don't ever get to see this white stuff. The truck loaded up with some parts, leftover parts and pieces, the extra like engine stuff for the 612 and some other miscellaneous things we had in the garage. Brought out here for file them away in cold storage for the time being. Do a little bit more snow moving here, and then head back into town, and we'll show you guys what we've been up to. We're working on the 612 oil pan, fitting that a little bit here. Last night, I guess it was. So we'll check back later. Welcome back to the garage. Okay, so I'll show you what we've been fighting over here. So this pan was not fitting against the block nicely. It was warped, twisted. The surfaces where it meets up against the block were flat, but they were not parallel with each other. So you'd put it up against the block and it would teeter, corner to corner. It wouldn't sit nice and true up against the casting. So, poor people have poor ways. I'll show you how we solved this problem. It is not the right way by any means, but it is using what we have available. Let me get it over on the bench and I'll show you what we did. Okay, so all of my machinist friends, you might as well just turn away now because you're going to cringe when I tell you how we fix this. The right way would be to put this in a milling machine or a surface grinder or something, true it all up, dust the surface to get it all in the same flat plane again, and it'd be good to go. Because like I said, they weren't flat in relation to each other. The whole thing was twisty. You could put it down on our redneck surface plate here, which is just the old top of a tabletop, which is relatively flat for all intents and purposes of what we're doing here. And you could rock the pan on the flat surfaces. So there was a high spot, this corner and this corner were high in relation to everything else. So we knew those two surfaces needed to be brought down, and the opposite two corners needed to be left alone, basically. So it's crude, but what we did was just started out with the flap disc on an angle grinder and just carefully, a little bit here, a little bit there, kept checking things with straight edges and whatnot to keep an eye on what we did. And then once we got it close, we took the little die grinder and there again just carefully worked on those surfaces to true them up. And then once we got things pretty well where we wanted them, we took a nice flat machined block, heavy block here, and some 100 grit emery paper, and just went to town, truing it all back up to flat again. And you can see, there's a couple little spots where like the die grinder catches the edge of the hole, but those are, they look worse on camera than what they really are. We're talking just minor scratches here. And it all came out pretty darn nice, considering, we're doing it by hand. They came out, you put a straight edge on it, and it's straight and flat, and it fits up against the block. That's the most important thing. So let me bring it back over there. So now you can see, just sitting on there, not even bolted up, the seams are essentially perfect. I mean, nothing that a gasket, thin gasket, some sealer, and by the time you actually bolted everything together, won't fix. I mean, it's essentially right now. There's some slight indiscrepancies as far as these two castings go. When you have them bolted together, it's actually closer. But I'm not going to address that until I get the front casting back and see how that fits in relation to these two. And then I might do a little bit of cheating, like say on this one here, to feather these two together if necessary. But by the time you put your cork gasket on there between the gaskets, I don't really think it's going to be much of an issue there. It fits nice against the rear plate. There again, by the time you put I'm assuming there should be a thin gasket, paper gasket between there and there and there and there before you sandwich them together. I'll have to confirm all that yet. It appears as though there only should be a thin paper gasket between the block and the pan. I don't know what there was originally because I didn't take this engine apart. I'll have to pick a few people's brains on that. But the kit that came from, I believe it originally came from Olson Gaskets. It's the kit that came with the tractor, so I don't even know for sure if that's where it ultimately came from. But I'm going to assume came with like I don't know what it is, a 60 thou thick cork gasket for between these two. And I don't think I'm going to use it. I think I'm going to make something thinner because all of the holes down into the main casting, yeah, you probably can't see, are fairly well lined up when the castings are, basically tight together. If you put any thicker of a gasket between the pan and the block, all these holes are going to be thrown off as well. And I don't really see any reason why you would have to have a thick cork gasket between these two, as long as everything is sealing up right. A thin paper gasket with sealant on it should be just fine. Heck, you could probably just put a bead of silicone along there with no gasket and it'd be just fine. So I'll do a little more asking around and get a few more opinions on that, and then that'll basically be ready to go once I do final cleanup and put the baffle back inside of it with the rivets and whatnot. Then this will be able to go back on the block for good. What else here? I do have a question. Okay, 612 owners out there. My plate here has 2 tapped holes on this side and 2 tapped holes on this side. And as of right now, I have no idea what those are for. There's no need for them to my knowledge. My friend Roger looked at his tractor doesn't even have those holes. So if anybody out there knows what that's about, I'm all ears, because I don't know what those are for. They're, not anything I know about. I can't see any reason why there would be something bolted to the outside there. And on the inside, that's, your flywheel is in there, so I can't imagine there's anything bolted on the inside. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really have any good ideas what that's even about. Oh, what else did I do here tonight? I took out, there was that stud for that fitting that goes to your radiator. I took that stud out and ran a tap through that hole. One, because the stud I'll probably replace. The threads are a little bit boogered up on the end. And two, more than anything, I think we'll probably lay the engine down on this side of the engine on the pallet and strap it down when I bring it back to North Dakota. I think that'll be the safest way to haul it, because there's more things to potentially get damaged on this side. That's how we hauled it home, and I'm sure it would be fine again, but we have all the manifold studs and valve covers and oil pump. So there's, the casting here. There's more things to potentially get damaged, so I think I'm going to lay it down on this side. We're going to figure out how many and what size bolts we need for around here and on the pan here, because I don't think I have any of them. I think those were lost somewhere when the tractor was originally taken apart, who knows when. We do have the bolts for the oil pan. Those were with the block. And then we'll probably have to get bolts for the front cover too, because same story, those were missing. So we'll have to figure out what size and stuff those are, and probably get Dad making some bolts, because they're all those thick-headed with a slight dome on the head bolts, and they all got that little bit of different look to them. You know, that slightly domed head, and they're thicker headed. And some of the larger bolts were actually even fatter headed bolts, like the ones he made for the belt pulley assembly. So we're assuming those are probably going to be like them, at least these perimeter ones. So I'll probably have to make up some of them. And yeah, that's what I know for now. So I'm going to probably call it a night here. Maybe we'll see you guys tomorrow. Welcome back to North Dakota, everybody. Well, we got the engine into the shop here. We got the rest of the goodies into the shop. So now it's just a matter of getting at it and getting something done. Won't be any more this weekend. It's about time to go home and figure out supper, but the next step will be to start putting stuff onto the tractor, start dry fitting linkages and figuring out clutch and figuring out engine and figuring out a game plan, basically, because I'm not even sure exactly how I'm going to do this yet. If I will probably get all the engine buttoned up as far as I can, and then I'll probably end up dry fitting it into the tractor with the clutch stuff, make sure all the clutch stuff works, and then take it all back out and paint it is probably going to be how this will happen. But I'm not even sure yet. I'll have to think about this a little bit more. So yeah, a lot of stuff to work on. Winter is going fast. We're already halfway through it here. I better get going if I want to have this done by next summer. So anyway, I thank you all for watching. I'll check back soon, and I will keep you posted on the updates. Thanks for watching. See you later.